Hello and welcome to the Grizzled Warmaster. Today I'm going to go through the reveals from the Warhammer live stream on, Saturday the 23rd. So first up, and we are going to just cover Age of Sigmar and Age of Sigmar related stuff. We'll let somebody else handle the 40k and those other games. So first up, we heard that we are getting the next installment of Broken Realms. Techless will be this one. And it will concentrate on Techless taking the fight to Nagash in the Realm of Death. We found out we are going to get new War Scrolls for a lot of Lumineth models, units. Those will be coming up later in our preview here. We also found out that we're getting new War Scroll battalions for the Lumineth Realm Lords, the Cities of Sigmar, the Maggotkin of Nurgle, Flesh Eater Courts, and the OCR Bone Reapers. I'm excited for that last one since I do play Bone Reapers, and I usually can't find space for War Scroll battalions in there. None of them are worth it, in my opinion. Not to give up a whole unit of Mortek Guard, but maybe something in this would be. All right. First thing we got was the Spirit of Heesh that I was assuming would happen. We've got a Huracan Spirit of the, I don't know if they're going to call it the wind or the hurricane itself, but this is Severith, Lord of the Seventh Wind. I assume he's a fox-like creature, demigod empowered by the winds of Heesh. I assume we're going to get him kind of like the Spirits of the Mountain, that there's one named version and there'll be an unnamed version, so you can decide which one you want to take. And that one will have, the named one will have a couple of special things compared to the normal ones. But it looks really cool. It's a really awesome model. I'm hoping that it'll be cheaper than the mountain, the Spirits of the Mountain, because those are a little tough to fit into an army unless you decide to totally drop Techless, which right now I think that Techless is the most competitive way to play the army. But we'll have to see. I like the idea of basically a artillery type or long range type monster. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, since the stone, the Spirits of the Mountain already have a pretty potent ranged attack. It is limited. I think it's one shot each, but it does, I believe, a d6 damage. I didn't check that beforehand, but I think it's a d6 damage. So this is going to have to be a lot more shots or do something special on the shots to make it stand out from those. All right, the rest of these were, relatively unclear with this little shining light in the background, but this appears to be the Cavalry Hero we already saw. And since we don't, you can see kind of the horns. It looks like the horns here. It looks to be the same model, but it could be a different one because we don't get the Kangaroo Cavalry in this reveal, since those are already, they've already been revealed, as well as that Cavalry Hero. It's interesting that one would be in this shot or in this video, but the other not. So we'll have to see, but I believe this is the same model. This one was weird. This is the most unclear image we got. It's really hard to tell what's going on here. The legs don't really look like legs. The staff looks really weird, so I don't think it relates to the next model we'll see, which was a Standardbearer. It's hard to tell if there's a helmet here or what's going on with this thing here sticking up from the head. This might be a book in their hands. This looks like a sword hilt, so I'm assuming it's a character, but it's just very odd looking. So I think all we can tell at this point is that this is probably a hand. So I think this is a hero on foot, but you can't tell anything more about it from this. This is a pretty clear shot of a standard bearer of some sort. I think it's a totem bearer. This banner is too big to be a unit standard bearer. So I think we're looking at a standalone hero who is a totem bearer, and we'll get some cool, totem-like abilities for the Lumineth. I'd like to see something. They'll probably have to be a little different than what than what you can get from Stormcast. So I don't think you're going to see necessarily a teleport or anything like that. But maybe you'll see an option to do like a one-shot Storm of Searing Light, or maybe a one-shot Speed of Heesh, or something along those lines. But we'll see. Next, we get a shot of the War Machine that we were rumored to be getting. It looks like a bolt thrower. It looks like the old High Elves bolt thrower turned up on end. So instead of being horizontally oriented, it's vertically oriented. This is clearly not a Sentinel. The bow is too big. It looks like it's got a bunch of fancy things going on there in the middle. The Sentinel, not the Sentinel, the archer, the crewman, whatever you want to call him, seems to be holding on to some handles that stick out rather than, obviously trying to wield something this gigantic. So I think this is clearly a war machine of some sort. So I'm pretty excited about that. There are a lot of items here, or a lot of units, models here that harken back to the High Elves. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is another one that was kind of weird. It's something I've not really seen before. It appears to be 2 models on one base. 2 heroic size models on one base. They're very unclear. The one on the bottom seems to be wielding a 2-handed sword, but I suppose that could be a staff. It's kind of unclear. The one on the top seems to be wielding a staff, but it could be a polearm. Again, kind of unclear. So I'm not sure if we're looking at like a Shaleksi Hellbane kind of hero with a warrior on bottom and a wizard on top, or if we're looking at something more like a unique hero type thing that's and I'm not aware of anything like this already existing, but Shaleksi is somewhat like this. If the bottom one acts like a mount to the top one, then it would be kind of like a Shaleksi Hellbane. Maybe it'll be something like a Mangler Squig, where it's just an independent model that's really good in combat. Or maybe we'll get something like a Fanatic that you put these guys inside of a unit and then they pop out and and go crazy. The reason I throw that out is because of one of the models one of the units we see later on here, the Swordmasters of Hoth. They're not really, but they totally look like Swordmasters of Hoth. So I'm pretty excited about that. Another callback to the old High Elves. And again, this would be a unit that those guys I could see hanging out in and then jumping out of. But they seem to be the Huracan version of the, specialized infantry. The Alarith have the Stone Guard, so I think we're going to have Huracan Swordmasters, or whatever they're going to call them. So they'll be really speedy. Maybe we'll get something like a strikes at the beginning of combat, or maybe some more other turn order shenanigans that kind of makes them unique, where they I really don't want to see they strike at the beginning of combat or make their enemies strike at the end of combat. I'd like to see something a little more clever happen, like if they hit the enemy, then the enemy has to can't strike until everybody else has in the next battle round, or I don't know, something different. It may in the end, there's only so many things you can do to affect the order of combat, but do it in a unique way is all I'm saying. But this was the best reveal to me. These guys look amazing. I'm really excited. I hope they are good enough and priced well enough to fit into an army, to replace some of the other stuff that's just so awesome already. The last Lumineth item we got here appears to be a hero. It's a single model, armed with a staff, armed with a sword, it appears at the front. So I'm thinking maybe this is a Huracan hero who's part wizard, part swordmaster. That's, as good a guess as any. He's got the little moon shape on his hat there. So that probably represents being, wizard there along with the staff. So I'm hopeful that that's what this is. It's a solo hero. We need another non-named lower tier hero that's going to be, only 100, 120, maybe 140 points and can fit into a support role in the Lumineth. I just hope they don't go too high on the combat, because I like a hero that can hold its own in combat, but that's not really their role in Age of Sigmar. They just have to have to be pointed so high and have so many abilities stacked on them that they just get to the point where they don't accomplish what you need them to accomplish. But I'm hopeful. This guy could be really cool. All right, let's look at some of the other stuff we got revealed. There will be a new Daughters of Kane battle tome, following on the heels of Broken Realms Morathi. The Daughters of Kane are getting some new rules. They do not appear to be getting any new units, since none were revealed in this live stream, but they will be getting new models in the form of these cool endless spells. Well, the endless spells themselves may not be cool, but the models certainly are. You got Swordwind, I think is what this one's called. Then like Blood Viper or something like that. I forgot to look it up again, but I think it's like that. And then this is the Heart of Fury, Kane's bloody-handed thing. It looks so cool. These look so great. I really hope they are good. They've been doing a better job with the faction specific, where it doesn't affect the faction itself. There tends to be at least one good one in most factions nowadays. Sometimes more. It'll also depend on the point values that they assign to them, because sometimes they are pointed out to where it's like, that would be great if it was cheaper, but we'll have to see. Now we got a couple of slides of some Underworld stuff. I'm not really an Underworlds fan, and I find usually that the stuff that they port over from Underworlds into Age of Sigmar is overpriced and underdelivers. But these are some cool models. You've got this big burly guy who kind of harkens back to the Von Karsteins of the old world. You've got this female vampire who's like a duelist. She's got two swords. This image is a little blurry, but she's got two like rapier type swords. Kind of harkens back to the Lamians. You got this winged guy over here who I'm forgetting the old world equivalent. They were the ones that were starving. I want to say Nosferatu, but that's not the name, I don't think. But anyways, he's going mad with hunger and starting to mutate, so that's cool. Here's a better shot of him. And then the guy who kind of harkens to the blood dragons from the old world. However, we also have in this shot a couple of Lumineth models, so we're also going to be getting a Lumineth team as well. I forget what they call them. Warband. This guy's big giant hammer looks super cool, and then you got one of the Swordmaster guys as well. The next shot, which was super brief, it was really hard to capture. It looks like there's going to be a guy with a banner. You got that little ring up in the corner. So part of the Lumineth warband will be like a wizard type guy. But that was it for the Age of Sigmar elements of this reveal. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you have some guesses as to what we might be getting with some of those dimmer images? Which ones are you most excited to see and get your hands on? And again, harkening back to all of the ones that were really blurry, what do you want them to be versus what you think they might be? I'm curious. I want to have a conversation down in the comments below about what people think and are hoping for. So far, I've been really impressed with the Lumineth, so I'm excited to see what these are going to be. It's a lot more than I thought we were going to be getting. That's, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the Kangaroo Cavalry, which I know they have name, they release names, but that's all. There's 8 new. They almost doubled the size. Well, and if you consider that there's 2, the spirits, and I don't think I counted the spirits, there's probably a named and non-named. They literally doubled the size of the Lumineth Realm Lords, which is crazy to get that in a supplement book. So it's intriguing, it's confusing, but I'm excited to see all of the new stuff anyways. But please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and most importantly, please share with your friends. We're trying to grow our subscriber base. We're trying to get you new competitive content at least twice a week going forward. So help us out, get the word out, and I will see you guys next time.